that done. So I'm gonna let my man Fontaine, man, tell you how I feel about that.
Where I saw you, it was my nigga P. He was a tall dude, wanted to get your number so I could call you. Come into Missy Ann's, oh P, don't fall through. Just make me hot, P. Hold me down, P. Make me hot, P. Hold me down, P. P, my singer don't know how to sing.
Just make me hot.
P, I don't got no hook.
Just make me hot.
P, I don't know how to write 16.
Just make me hot. Just make me hot.
Make me hot, P. Hold me down, P. Make me hot, P. Hold me down, P. Yo, P, what up, dog?
What's the deal, man?
Yo, I need a beat, dog.
What kind of beat you need, man?
Man, I need some 72 dramatics and some of the 87 ready for the world.
Welcome back, listeners.
Welcome.
We are live at Truth 360 by BDC. Oh my God, do you know this is week 14?
This is week 14.
This is week 14. I can't believe it. We done made it this long. Lord, it feels more like a marathon than a sprint.
Exactly.
But we are getting in shape and getting it done. Welcome to Truth 360, brought to you each and every week on Thursday from 4 to 6 by Black Dress Collaborative. This is a high-energy weekly interview, debate, and commentary talk show that uses an engaging mix of passion and talk and music and humor and, of course, brutal honesty to talk about in a non-judgmental way those things that educate and empower our listeners. And, boy, I don't want to give you too much, but I got to tell you, today's show, if you have never been a Truth 360 listener, today is the great day to be inaugural.
Today is a great day to be inducted to the epitome of Holly and Jennifer in the Truth 360
Well,
realm.
I don't know how much Holly you're going to get because I'm going to be sitting around with my mouth open and my tongue hanging out while we listen to some of these empowering guests. So I had to put my bright lipstick on so that I could just be doing this like all day long because I already know I'm going to be stupefied by everything that's about to happen.
I'm just saying, because the WE3 conference that we've been previewing and promoting all summer long is finally happening this Saturday, September 20th.
Oh, well, you know, it's going down at the Comfort Inn in Bowie. So if you all aren't there, something's wrong with you. You already know I think that.
Up.
However, if you have some kind of dire emergency and you just can't get out of bed because you done been in a car accident or you got whiplash, which actually happened to one of my assistants in my Kansas City office.
Wow.
If that happens to be you too, we're going to have some live streaming going on. You're going to be able to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And we're going to make sure that everyone will have access to all the fabulousness.
The fabulousness, the
that will be happening at the WE3 conference on Saturday.
Since we started the show, we have known one thing to be true.
And what's that?
That on Thursday, September 18th, none other than Jewel Diamond Taylor, herself would be in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
True 360 Live.
Absolutely.
So everybody catch it. Call all your girlfriends and your guy friends and tell them she is here.
She's
and
gonna
we
be
are
here
so
in just
excited.
a minute.
All of Prince George's County, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and the National Capital Region is on fire because Jewel Diamond Taylor, author, writer, speaker, motivator, encourager, the self-esteem doctor herself is in the house.
Absolutely.
But before,
and you know that's why I'm going to be looking like this the whole show. So just so y'all know why, there is a good reason. Now, the other thing we have to say is we're going to have some great Prince George's County leaders as well.
Absolutely.
Who are going to be coming on and to talk about the community segment. Your co-organizer, LaVon Thomas. Am I saying what?
Co-chair, LaVon Reedy Thomas.
LaVon Reedy Thomas. And, of course, live in the studio, the incomparable Peggy Morris.
Absolutely.
Who has been on our show before when we did the networking show.
Absolutely.
But she was remote in Dallas with you. And today we get to see her live. So I'm just as excited
other than
about
Sisters for Sisters Network Incorporated.
Absolutely.
And then one of our favorites, and we can be a little biased because this is our
always
soror.
biased. When did we stop being
unashamedly biased?
We bias all the time. It's our dang show.
Council member Ingrid M. Turner
Yeah.
is going to join us on the Call-In Live show.
Absolutely.
Council member Turner is our diamond sponsor. She is the person who helped us pull this WE3 conference together. And Council member
supportive
Turner,
of the people who write a check.
supportive of the people who write a check.
Absolutely.
But this one goes so much further.
Love
if
it,
it
love
has
it, love
anything
it.
to do with empowering our community, not just in Prince George's County, but all over, Ingrid M. Turner is going to call
all right.
We have a show for you.
Okay, so I got the bell because, we ain't rang the bell in a while, so I just had to get that in a few times.
Get it in. So
now,
you ready, Holly?
we done did the build-up, so
We
I
did
got
the
to let
build-up.
folks know that they can follow us on Twitter at Truth 360 by BDC. They can catch us on Facebook. Again, Truth 360 by BDC. You can also email us at truth360@blackjustcollaborative.com. We're going to have call-in segment a little bit later. This is just to give you the preview that if you're listening but your friends aren't, you better text them and call them right now because it's about to go down. Now, I got to change the subject just a little
News
bit.
you can use.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know about news you can use, but let me just say, in one of my lives, because I lead many, which wear many hats and wigs and all that other kind of stuff that I be putting on my head, we got to talk about the NFL.
Oh,
Now, I have to tell you, it's like one step forward, two steps back, three steps to the side, and all around. And I'm going to start it out like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, Holly,
we talked about the Ray Rice thing, in the last week.
And when we all saw the
and
video.
we had the show on domestic violence. So we
And
already
human
know where we stand
trafficking.
on that and the human trafficking. So the NFL, in a steps forward, a very teeny one, has decided to appoint, and they announced this on Monday, a domestic violence group of senior advisors. And I'm not taking anything away from the 4 women that they have decided to engage. And I'm also not going to make too much criticism today about the fact that they took one of the few women who happens to be in a senior leadership position in the NFL, and rather than move her or provide her with additional support, they just gave her a whole bunch of extra responsibilities. We're not going to talk about that because they trying to make a little headway. But what I am going to talk about is, unfortunately, one critical error that they made, and it's something that they do when they try to deal into these policies issues, is they got this panel of 4 senior advisors, and ain't there one of them African American. Now, what the hell is going on up in this camp?
Since you
now,
went there.
I have to go down on record on this because as part of my work with the National Black Women's Roundtable and the Coalition on Black Civic Participation, we've already issued a letter letting them know that this is not going to go down without us saying something. You mean 66% of the NFL players are African American. So what we're talking about is not just violence against women, but very specifically, in most cases, violence against women of color. And for you to ignore the cultural sensitivity of that issue within the issue of domestic violence means you really just don't even get it at all.
You don't get it, and I dare to go one step further than you don't get it. This is indicative of the mentality that you have, the substandard that for some players, you wipe their things and push them under the rug, and for other players, you make an example out of them, and you completely disrespect the fact that these young people are coming into your league to make you not millions, but billions. It is no sweat off your back to extend yourself. You could have set up programs. You know that not just the 2 players that are identified in recent weeks, but you know that you have a steroid, anger management, violence, and all kinds of problems that you've not been addressing. But to deal with this issue, Holly, I already had it as one of my call to action items for women because I want to have the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. I want to hear from NC and the National Congress of Negro Women. I want to hear from every sorority, every link organization. It is an outrage that they would just turn a deaf and blind eye, as if we couldn't have Reverend Commissioner Linda Johnson Thomas from First Baptist Church of Glen Arden, who has one of the most successful domestic violence ministries in the country at one of the largest mega churches in the country, who could have been on that panel. We can go all day long.
There are this
plethora.
space between communities of color and domestic violence. The list of experts and qualified people that have years invested in this, including years invested with athletes at every level, is so long. I'm not even going to deal with that. But I am going to say that, and a big shout out to all the sisters who have been part of signing off on this letter. Of course, myself has been doing this. I've been one of the issues that I have dropped other stuff to work on. So clients, don't worry, I'm be back on your stuff in a minute.
Okay, Holly.
But Tamika Mallory, absolutely, I'm going to be sending it around. Tamika Mallory, who's the former executive director of the National Action Network, has signed on. Cleola Brown, the president of A. Philip Randolph Institute. Reverend Marcia Dyson, who is the CEO and founder of the Women's Global Initiative.
Absolutely.
So we have Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner, who is the co-chair and co-founder of the Skinner Leadership Institute and the National African American Clergy Network. We are really trying to make sure that all segments, from civic to social to labor to clergy to anybody who's a black woman who's been a leader in this issue, and frankly just a leader in anything sports related or having to do with this issue of domestic violence, we encourage you to sign on to it. It has been printed as part of an open letter today in the Washington Post, so I encourage you to get involved with that. And I can tell you that I'm going to be, a friend of mine does a sports show here locally, and one of the things we were talking about doing on October 2nd, while you're going to be doing some other really fun things, is really digging deep into this issue around NFL and crime. Because the other thing, and I don't want to take up the whole show because we got so much fabulous to do, but I got to put a note in and say the other thing that the NFL fell short on in doing its sanctions is, they really don't deal with the people who are the problem. And let's face it, it's not when a player gets arrested for whatever it gets arrested for, whether it's DUI, which by the way is the number one thing that NFL players get arrested for. So let's talk about it.
Yes.
But domestic violence is up there as well. The person who saves them is not coming from the league. It's coming from the ownership group.
Exactly.
And until we hold the ownership group responsible for playing
right.
their role in covering this up, they're the ones who call their cronies at the district attorney's office and say,
make all of the
I done made this big investment, and
I need
this is a one-time thing, and I'm going to need you to help me smooth it. We already know how it goes down. So we ain't going to get all into it today, but I just had to put it out there on the sisters' minds and the brothers who are righteous minds, so that they know we're not going silently into this good night.
Absolutely, Holly. And I just want to compliment you for always staying on the cutting edge of issues, because at the end of the day, this is why we're doing the We3 conference. This is why we're doing this show, because we want to teach people that your voice can be heard by your collaborative efforts. You make your voice heard when you stand up for issues, and you do not ignore and say, oh, I saw it on the news.
Right.
And some people know. We need everybody on the major news, CNN, the 24-hour news cycles covering this story. So that means we have some cages to rattle. And when we are at the We3 conference this Saturday, we can lean on our Congressman Steny Hoyer, our Congresswoman Donna Edwards, our Senator Barbara Mikulski. They are always at the forefront of issues and leading issues, so that we can bring a full, conscious, collaborative response to this mission. Because it's not just about the black women, it's about women not having a sufficient voice. And when you silence one of us, you silence all of us. Amen. And it doesn't mean that we're not always on the same page at the same time. We have to come to an agreement about some things, but on these matters, there is no compromise.
Well, I'm ringing the bell. And I'm also just going to say, we got to get to the song. We didn't get to talk about none of the other news.
No, we don't need any other news.
But we just going to let it go.
Because today is a special
and we'll deal
day.
with something. I do have to make one little teeny shout out to Scotland, who's having a historic election today.
Absolutely.
And all my brothers and sisters in the UK. Who knows which way that's going to go. But the noteworthy thing in that is that these people have managed to get 97% voter registration.
Isn't that incredible?
97%. So, folks in America, we got to do a little bit better because we falling short. Let's take our song break because I'm feeling all energized.
It's time.
I gotta
and
get it going.
It's time. So when we come back, we'll be so overjoyed to welcome our first two guests, Jewel Diamond Taylor and Council Member Ingrid M. Turner.
Amen. All right, let's do it.
Holly. Yes.
Whatever you want, whatever you need, anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. 'Cause every woman, it's all in me. It's all in me. 'cause I am the one. Just ask me, it shall be done. And don't bother to compare. I've got
All right, here's your shot. Welcome back. As you can see, we've been joined by the phenomenal, the fabulous, the just incomparable Jewel Diamond Taylor. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
I'm back home in the Chocolate City. This is where I was born.
Yes,
This
that's
is where it
right.
all started.
That's where it all started.
To be on Georgia Avenue, I'm just
Absolutely,
excited.
absolutely.
Can't get better than Georgia
Yes,
Avenue right
yes,
across the
yes.
street from the great Howard University. And we also have joining us on the phone council member from Prince George's County, Ingrid M. Turner. How are you, Ingrid?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Oh, we're so glad you could be a part of this last and final, but certainly not the least of our which, WE3 preview show, and the real deal happens on Saturday. I don't even
Saturday.
know. I'm just bubbling up so much I don't even know what to do with myself, and I'm going to be running around working.
You're going to have to calm down, girl. So
So I can make it, right?
yeah, so you can get through it.
Well, Jewel Diamond Taylor, we have the honor and pleasure of having you an author, a speaker. I love in your bio that says you kicked in the glass ceiling back in the 80s.
In the 80s.
To
Yes,
bring
that's what
it
I'm talking about.
worldwide, that you're an international motivational speaker. And so I want to start today's conversation off by asking our show question for today. Motivation and inspiration. Is this the secret weapon to success?
It's one of the secrets. You know, there's a toolbox we all need. We need
Yes.
faith. We need courage. We need self-esteem. We need support. We need resources. We need a vision. We need stamina. We need a
Boy.
team.
Yes.
Wow.
You know,
yes,
so-
yes.
because that inspiration will run out, the motivation will die out. But if you have all those other tools in your box, education,
That's
a
beautiful.
willingness, a
Yes.
fearlessness,
Fearlessness.
to be unstoppable,
Yes, yes.
to be determined,
Yes.
to be
Yes.
focused.
Yes.
You know, those are all the ingredients.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Wow.
boy.
And even having a testimony of
Wow.
falling
That's
down.
About the
That's
testimony.
Yeah, you got to
That's what
fall
I
down
love.
a few
The
times.
testimony.
Yeah,
Let's talk
success
about the
is about
testimony.
falling down, and also I always spell success SERVICE. It's about service,
Wow, wow.
and that's why I love you
beautiful.
too, because you're about service.
Yes.
That's
And I
yes.
believe that is a major key
Yes.
that opens up doors to success.
Absolutely.
How do you
absolutely.
serve others? How do you serve your community?
it.
That's what you're doing
what
with
we
the
believe
station.
in.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, that's a perfect segue, Jewel, into us bringing Councilmember Turner
I was just
into the
thinking that.
conversation. Councilmember, we all know and love you as a champion for women and for youths and for families and for obviously for community because of your public service that you give to not only Prince George's County, but you've been the president of the Maryland Association of Counties. But I think that so many of us champion the fact that you are a retired Navy officer and served in our United States Navy as a JAG, right? And so, Councilmember Turner, I'm going to open your segment up by asking you, how do you do it all?
Well, you know, as women, we're all busy. we take care of our families,
Yes.
we take care of our communities, and it's all about us all working together and having the passion. As you all talked about earlier, it's about being prepared to drive that passion forward.
Yes.
So I don't do it alone. I do it through the help of you, Jennifer, through the help of you, Holly, and through that inspiration, Jules.
Yes.
We need each other to survive
Absolutely.
and thrive.
Yes,
And I'm so glad
absolutely.
you shared that, because that's one of the things that we have to help women overcome is this crab in the
Absolutely.
barrel mentality.
Yes.
Absolutely.
To overcome this sense of competition. I want all of us to win.
All of us to
I
win.
want
Yes.
all of us to
Room.
shine.
Yes,
I want
yes.
all of us to receive that call to action to do that thing that you're supposed to do, that you
Right.
were born to do, that
Right.
thing that won't let you sleep,
That's
Right.
right.
I
that
gotta
thing that
focus
comes so
in.
organic.
And there's so much work to be done.
Boy.
There's so many people that need help.
Oh,
There's
my
so many
goodness.
people that need to be uplifted.
Yes.
There's so many students, young people that we want to make sure they get their college education.
Yes.
So there's so much help that needs to go around. We don't need to be competing against each other.
Absolutely. I think that's the cornerstone of the fact of this We3 effort, that it's a collaborative effort of organizations, women from all walk of life. So there's a diversity, both socially, economically, culturally. And I think that that's the point for us as women to be so focused on our mission
Yes.
that we
Yes.
keep the ball moving forward.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
Holly, you had a question that you were just
You know
about
what
to
I was
ask.
thinking? I was thinking about, last week we were given this wonderful frame of, we all like have these moments in our lives where we're victims. We all have these moments in our lives where we then survive it.
Right.
But I want to focus on what you just said, the thrive
thrive.
part.
The thrive.
And what are
That's
some of the
right.
things that you say to women to move them from just surviving to thriving?
We have to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
You mentioned victim. We don't want to walk around with that label, I am a victim.
Yes.
We all have experienced some abuse, some neglect, some hurt, some betrayal, but we don't want to stay stuck there.
Right.
We know that domestic abuse is real. It's
Right.
happening all the time.
Right.
We know that people are unemployed. We know that people are experiencing racism. We know women experience rape and incest and divorce and so many challenges, but we don't want to get stuck with that identity.
Right.
We want to get a new identity. We want to get a new perspective.
Absolutely.
Have someone help us to see our picture in a different frame and
Absolutely.
reframe my pain and know that my pain can change if I'm willing to do the work.
Yes.
Right, and
There-
that's the important
Yes.
And I
part.
think-
Work. Go
And
right ahead.
I was going to say, I think that also the way that we inspire and we motivate and move from maybe less active to more active is through this conference we're going to have on Saturday,
Absolutely.
where we're going to get our women educated, where we're going to empower our women, when we're going to engage our women. That's coming together for a common cause, coming together for women and family and girls issues can help motivate us, can help energize and activate us to the next level.
Now you must be reading my script, because I was just going to say
Exactly.
one of the things that I wanted to hear from, because a lot of people, I'm big on the writing a check piece.
Absolutely.
But I want people to understand why it's important to support these kind of events. And so, Councilwoman Turner, as one of the Diamond sponsors, can you talk a little bit about why it's important to you and to others to be supportive of these kinds of activities?
Well, the reason why it's important to me is because it's important to the community. It's not about me. It's not about Jennifer. It's not about Holly. It's about the greater us, the young girls that want to be inspired, the young girls that want to eventually be president. When are we going to have our first female president?
That's
When are we going to
right.
have our first female county executive here in Prince George's County? It's going to be because women come together for a common cause and they're inspired by that female.
Absolutely. And council member, I want to ask you to follow up a little bit. Sitting in the seat of being an elected official, how important is it, or how valuable is it to the elected official, the elected leader, to have people advocate and communicate and engage you in things that they see that they need or things they think they want to happen in their community?
Well, we all, throughout our lives, we hear the one that speaks the loudest is heard. The squeaky wheel, gets the game.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have our public hearings, and it's not always the loudest because you have to evaluate the situation. But a person coming to a budget hearing, a person advocating on legislation, when you come together, the masses, 100 people, 200 people, that's power. That's power in numbers, and it sends a message to the person that has to make a decision. It's harder to say no to 500 people than it is to one person.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, Jewel, you do so much work with women from the surviving victims all the way up to the most senior
Leadership.
leaders and corporate executives. How do you craft a message to resonate with such a diverse pool of women? What's the common thread that you find?
Is realizing that there's a little bit of me in all of them. Find that place in me that will resonate with them.
Yeah.
Either they're a wife, they're a mother, they're a daughter, they're tired, they're stressed, got parenting issues, leadership issues. Find that connection. What connects us rather than being intimidated by them or feeling self-righteous over them?
Yes.
That's what I always seek. How can I connect with this sister? I not too long ago spoke to women in drug and alcohol recovery. I've never had that issue, thank God. My addiction has been shoes.
Yes.
But an addiction is an addiction. Yeah.
Don't we all love shoes?
Yeah, yes, we do. So, like, God, how can I speak to them? So I realized that an addiction is a lack of discipline. It's a Band-Aid for an emotional wound.
Yes.
It's trying to fill an empty place. So I share my story. I become transparent. I humanize them without making people feel like they are second class or they are unworthy. And so that is the key for me. How do I connect with you? I remember years ago I spoke to golfers. These were all women that were their husbands highly paid, and I'm thinking, what am I going to say to these women? They're economically safe.
Right.
They don't have to work. Then I said, wait a minute. They probably got some mother-daughter issues. They probably got some parenting issues. They probably got some self-esteem issues. Stop looking at just one dimension.
Of a person.
They've overcome economics. No, they probably don't speak to their mama. They probably got some rebellious children. They're probably feeling invisible in their marriage.
Sure.
They probably got menopause. I mean,
Let's go down the list.
Go down the list.
Isn't that 50, right?
Yes. So that has always been the key for me, is just find that connection piece. And it's just amazing. I've been able to speak outside of the country. And what I've come to realize is women, we have universal issues.
Yes.
Universal. Our image issues, are feeling wounded, lonely issues. The most common question I get is, Jewel, how do I find my purpose? And I feel so grateful that I know what my purpose is. I'm so grateful that I am a woman on fire. And I get to meet women who are on fire.
Thank you,
I mean, that's
Jewel.
such a blessing.
Yes,
But do you know
it
there's
is.
so many women that don't know what their purpose
Absolutely.
is.
And it's when you find that purpose that you find the passion, the strength, the drive, the will to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And then you talked about that toolkit to make sure that you're not suggesting that there doesn't need to be education, strategic planning,
Exactly.
a plan that you're executing and implementing, and that you're assessing your risk and you're measuring how you
better say it.
succeed.
Exactly.
But in the midst of having that being able to get past your wounds, I think is huge.
And I don't like to paint this pretty picture that you do 1, 2, 3, ABC.
Yes.
Right.
Success is not a one size fit all.
Yes.
Oh, Lord, no, Lord.
No,
Beautiful.
you have to know how to relate to people's issues, backgrounds, opportunities,
Right.
their self-esteem issues. This is why I've
Sure.
been coined the self-esteem doctor,
Yes.
because so many women, even in high places, when I've
Yes.
spoken and taught women in leadership roles, there is some issue somewhere
Yes.
about
And if
self-esteem.
they've
Yes.
not learned
Am
how
I
to be
worthy?
transparent,
Will
that's
people
right.
find out my secrets? I don't have any balance in my life. Why don't I have a man? Why don't I have children? Why is it at this particular age in my life I have not accomplished something?
Yes.
Or something was spoken into their lives at a
Yes.
young age and it still dictating their worthiness because they were called shy or they were called the bad one, or all these issues still are very buried underneath and stifle us and keep us from really flourishing and sparkling
like a jewel.
Like
diamond. Yes.
I love that, and I love that because it's we are different, but we are the same.
It's very universal.
And I think that sometimes, we've had that theme on this show many times because it's so universal, as you said. And it's like, hey, just because you may see me right here now, that's just because you wasn't around when I was
there. You
all
go.
Ugly was happening.
And the truth of the matter is that we all kind of live in those cycles that take us from here to here.
It's seasonal.
It's very seasonal. It's very seasonal.
Absolutely.
One thing.
And the part, if we could stress and get everybody to realize that we may look different, we may come from different backgrounds, but we're all the same. If we could get all our sisters on the same page, all our women on the same page, and that would be even powerful too, because sometimes we don't have the vision to see that we're all the same, that we're all going to go through ups and downs, we're all going to go through the valleys too.
Yes,
absolutely, and I think council
I
member,
you're
exactly
be sitting here
right.
with my mouth open now.
Holly's mouth is open. Council member, I think you're exactly right when we speak about the pushing and embracing and celebrating our diversity while realizing the commonality that for a successful leader like yourself, you can sit back and say, okay, I've done enough. I've done it all. Philanthropist, I'm doing it. But yet you still keep giving. You still keep reaching out, know, and we've all been there and seen you fighting good fights when the world was against you. All of us who love you were texting and go, council member, we got your back. But I think that that's something that keeps women from pursuing political leadership. So what words of wisdom would you have to say to women about just going at it? Go for it.
And, it's going to be hard, but we know that it's hard because all of us sitting around the boardroom, many a times we may have been the only African-American at the boardroom. We might have been the only woman there. But, we have to get there, and we have to stay there because our children depend on it, and our children's children depend on it. So, no, it's not going to be easy, but you know what makes it easier? When you're able to help somebody and you see that next person go to the next level. When you see that person that you were able to give a scholarship to, or you were able to change a life, or you were able to change a law, and you say, oh, man, I was able to help them, and that makes a difference. When the community calls me, the community calls me, and I'm able to help them with just actually filling a pothole. Filling a pothole.
Well,
how simple is that? But it makes their life easy.
Oh, my goodness, you're so right.
Jennifer, you asked, is motivation or inspiration the secret weapon? You know what's the secret weapon? Women.
Wow.
All right.
Wait, that's a bell ringer?
Yes. We are the secret women in politics, medicine, science, technology, education, domestic issues. We are the secret women. And so when we begin to own our power with integrity.
I
got to add that.
With integrity. Absolutely.
And we walk in that boldness without apology. We can make a difference. And that's where I want to be a way shower for women, is to walk in your anointing, your calling, your true north, your assignment, whatever you want to call it. But step into that and know that as you step into that, you become God's secret weapon.
Right.
Wow.
Well, I can't have you two both on the show and not bring it back a little bit to talk about that intersection between the motivation, inspiration, and the service. Because both of you women, all of you all, and the ones sitting over there off camera that are going to be joining us lately, you all have that as the common thread as well. How important is that, and how do those things work together?
Simply boundaries. people use us, but we don't want to be abused.
Yes.
I want to be used, but I don't want to be abused.
Yes. Yes.
And I have learned that the power of no, Holly.
Oh.
Yes.
No.
I didn't like saying no before because I was kind of bending towards people pleasing. I wanted to be
Yes.
liked.
Yes.
Didn't want to be
Yes.
seen as a selfish diva.
Yes.
That's right.
But I began to realize in order for me to be self-preservation,
Right. And the
Yes.
most effective.
my sanity,
That's right.
Yes.
is to pray for discernment. Is this where I should be serving?
Yes.
Is this where I should say yes?
Yes.
Is this where I should give my time?
Yes.
Is this where you want me to speak? I can't answer every call to be a speaker. I can't answer every call for need or for prayer. I have to have discernment because
That's
I'll be
right.
burned out if I
Yes.
don't
And that
have
is
boundaries.
my confirmation or word of I have spent the last 2 years trailing back. Councilmember Turner's heard it, Holly's heard it, everybody in the studios heard me say, I'm sleeping at night now. Gotta sleep at night. Okay, now I turn it off at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Gotta turn it off. And it really was work because as Councilmember Turner said, there's so much need.
So
And you
much.
would hate
Yes.
for it to be that you could have made a phone call or sent an email or showed up and been present and been the difference maker
Yes.
in helping someone else along their pathway. But if you don't preserve self, you lose the value of all that's been cultivated in the life.
Absolutely.
Congressmember Turner, you are the total embodiment of this.
Yes.
So I gotta get you to weigh in on this intersection of motivation, inspiration, and service.
And I'm gonna
if anybody serves, it's you.
and I'm gonna shamelessly add service with integrity.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it comes with an intersection of what we're all talking about. We have a passion. We have a desire to serve. But again, I also think it goes to, a foundation. And that's what this WE3 conference is all about, in the sense of we're going to prepare. We're going to, and when I say prepare, I'm going to segue, or I'm going to take a little tangent in the sense of I want to. We all know our great friend Wayne Curry.
Yes.
He spoke to me once, and he said, when I say once, we were having a discussion, and he did this famous quote in the sense of, he said, when preparation and opportunity meet, success is born.
Yes.
And I think preparation is this conference. Opportunity is knowing that something's going to come along. We might not know when it's going to come along, but we got to be ready to take advantage of that opportunity.
Right.
We've got to be prepared.
Yes.
And then success is born.
Yes.
And I think that that's where the intersection comes. And again, I can't thank Jennifer enough for leading this effort to make sure we have a women's conference here in Prince George's County. I can't thank Jewel enough.
Yes.
She could go be anywhere in the world speaking.
Exactly.
And I
to
want
come
to thank
speak
you for
here,
being.
right?
I want to thank you for being a
And Holly,
diamond
you've been a great
sponsor.
speaker, man. I mean, it's women like you coming to inspire.
Yeah.
I don't do this alone. No politician does it alone. If they
Yes.
tell you that, they're lying.
Yes. Yes.
We need each other.
I think that's so awesome that preparation and when preparation and opportunity meet, success is born. And I think that the thought of success being born and it can be reborn and there can be multiple successes is the story that I like so much about your life, Councilmember Turner, because you've put down a hat and picked up another one and put down a hat and picked up another one. So if you had to give us your top 3 passions, what would they be?
Ooh, only 3?
Well, you can go for more. I'll take them.
Well, I mean, of course, we all have, a lot of passions in the sense of when you say, family, God, and, community, those are passions. But if you ask me about my passions within, the current, job, I'm serving the community.
Yes.
I want to make sure that my community is safe. I want to make sure that my community is educated. I want to make sure that my community is healthy. So
Beautiful.
education, public safety, and healthcare are passions that I work on the county council.
Right.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. And before we go pitch back to Jewel, I just want to share, because I'm always celebrating, as Jewel said, I celebrate everybody's success. And we are getting the first regional medical center built in Prince George's County, because when our current county executive, our wonderful county executive, Rishern L. Baker III, really started his administration. Council Member Turner was chair of the county council in Prince George's County. And I know that when the executive and legislative branches, as we see here on Capitol Hill, get together, that anything can happen. But it's been so beautiful to see that in this experience, she and County Executive Baker worked together in lockstep to make this regional medical center to address the health disparities, health outcomes, the fact that 54% or more of our citizens leave our county to go and get quality health care, and that you made that happen. I'm championing your passions for safety, education, and health, council member.
Absolutely. Here's what I'm championing.
Yes.
Thank you,
Let's
thank you.
ring the bell.
Yes,
Make sure we get that in.
yes.
You know, I like to ring the bell.
That's major. That's for generations to come.
Yes, that's talking about
Absolutely.
legacy.
That's long term.
Absolutely. And you know what? It just grounds me back to the thing I've been like dying to talk to both of you about, and that is about being the first and the pressure of being the first. And both of you have had many things in your life where you've had to kind of be the first. And I was having this conversation with my niece this weekend, and she was struggling with something because she was going to have to be the first. And I said, you know what, I'm having this show this week, and I can't wait to ask these women who've been the first multiple times over in many different ways, what did you do to break through to be the first?
Well, you know, in hindsight, I realized that I wasn't even aware of that. I just had this burning, this compelling desire to quit my safe, secure job.
Yes.
Leave a job to have a joy.
Yes.
And so in hindsight, I realized that was pretty fearless and that was courageous.
Yes.
But I was at a tipping point. I had to do it. I must do it. I will do it. And I think if we second guess ourselves or we're trying to be the first, you may not do it. Fear could talk you out of it. You know, and when you're younger, I think you're not thinking in terms of that. You're just like, I just got to do this.
Yes. Yes.
So my one of my publicists, I'm so fortunate to have my sister Joy and my goddaughter Toy on my team, and they're always saying, Jill, you must make sure you include certain things in your bio, because to me it was like that's significant.
Right.
Because it was, it was just what I love doing. Yes. But I began to realize, okay, I do need to document that, because that was in 1984 in a white male dominated field of public speaking.
Absolutely.
So there were no role models for me to follow.
You know, that's exactly right, Jewel. I don't think you plan to be the first.
No, you don't.
I don't think you even know. I was one of the first women to go through and graduate from the United States Academy. One of the senior ranking female naval officers that was a JAG Corps officer, African American. But you don't set out to do that.
No.
You set out to do a good job, or you set out to make a difference.
Exactly.
And if you just happen to be the first, that's just part of it.
And what are those tools that you guys pull from? Because you both kind of mentioned this, kind of break through that fear factor, because that seems to be something that all of us kind of have holding us back.
You know, I love the fact that Bishop Jakes is putting on the map this idea of following our instincts. He talks a lot about that. And at that time, I didn't realize that's exactly what I was doing. It was very organic. It was instinctual. We have an instinct to survive and an instinct to thrive.
Yes.
The instinct to survive means don't walk across the street, don't go near a barking dog, don't get near a snake, don't walk down a dark alley. That's instinct says don't go there if you want to survive.
Yes.
There's another instinct says if I want to thrive, if I want to make a living, if I want to shine, if I want to help other people, then there's an instinct saying you're supposed to play the piano, or you're supposed to be in politics, or you're supposed to be in childcare.
Right.
So my instinct to thrive beyond what I was doing in corporate America said you're supposed to pick up a microphone and get on that stage.
Yes.
If you want to do more, be more, have more, that is your path.
That's where you
so
have to
there
go.
that was an instinct.
Yes.
When I look back, I could have done it differently.
Sure.
I leaped. There's some decisions I could have made economically, financially.
Sure.
I took a leap. My husband wasn't so happy about it because the Holy Spirit didn't tap him on the shoulder.
Right.
It was me.
It was
so
you.
How do you
Yeah.
manage that? Because it's so clear to you.
gotta take
the
them with you.
risk.
Yeah.
And do it.
Yes.
But the people around you, they're like, "Are you gonna leave the day job?"
Yes.
But you never quit the day job,
Yes.
and it's like, you know what? I can get another job.
Yes.
But in between,
And then how do you
those-
communicate
how do
that
you
when you're
communicate
married?
and
Yes.
articulate it?
Exactly. I've
That's
been married
right.
44 years, and so one of the things I feel honored to be able to help women is to navigate those relationship pitfalls where
Yes.
how do I communicate what I want to do without being
Yes.
feeling like I'm selfish?
Absolutely.
How do I communicate where I don't make my significant other feel insignificant?
Mm-hmm.
How do I navigate this and still have time with the children, the grandchildren? How do I do what God has asked me to do and still feel grounded and still feel part of a family? Because as women, we are nurturers, we're nesters, we want family, but sometimes we move so fast that we can lose our family, we can lose our way if
yes.
the ego is in the way
Ooh,
and we don't have
exactly it.
balance.
Yes.
So I had to learn how to communicate to my husband and make sure that I kept my marriage strong, make sure that I kept the ego in control,
That's right.
make sure that I knew how to, to keep my hat on as a wifey, and I get all
That's right. Get so,
self-righteous,
like,
like,
diva,
yeah.
like,
You know.
yeah.
I still got to wash clothes.
I was gonna say, I think the laundry and cooking dinner and garbage are the three great equalizers.
and saying
in the
yes,
home.
dear, yes, dear. So how do you do that? So that's a tricky
balance,
balance.
the grounding.
Exactly. So being a
Absolutely.
wife, being a mother, and now being a grieving mother who has had lost my son to cancer, I'm able to share with women, we all are going to get hit with something that we
Yes.
didn't expect that can
Right.
turn your world
Blow your
upside
mind.
down.
Yes.
The thing is, because I have a passion, because I have
Yes.
faith, because I have such a strong circle of supporters around me,
Right.
I was able to survive this storm.
Right.
I really feel bad for women that don't have a life, don't have anything
Yes.
to call them out
Yes.
beyond their domestic
Right.
life or the title of being a wife or the title of being a mother.
Yes.
We wear so many hats.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that I could pick up another hat and say, okay, my healing will come through being busy, being active, helping other women. And there's so many women every day. I'm getting emails and calls from other grieving mothers. Did I know that was going to become a part of my ministry? But I can relate. Remember I said,
That's
how
it.
can I relate to women? So
Yes.
now God has given me another dimension,
Right.
another portal
your-
to connect with women that
Exactly.
are grieving, that are invisible, depressed,
Yes.
overwhelmed,
Yes.
suicidal,
Yes.
can't function.
Right.
And here's just been a year, and I'm standing.
Right. You know, as we head into the break, you said something really powerful, and I want to actually get both you and Councilmember Turner to weigh in on this, and that is, how do you build that community? You know, how do you make sure that you have those community ties? What are some advice, tips that you would give to people who are feeling a little isolated?
And
It has
how
to
do
be
you build that
intentional.
network?
I love the word intentional. It
Yes.
has to be intentional.
Yeah.
Is that what you want? Then to have a friend, you got to be a friend.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to take risks. There'll be
Yes.
some people that'll stab you in the back. Some people come with hidden agendas. But if that's going to stop you,
Yeah.
you can't. You have to. It's like digging for gold or diamonds. You're going to get some dirt, but eventually you'll find those beautiful diamonds. You will find those. You know,
and you keep going.
exactly. And
Yes.
you nurture those
That's it.
relationships.
You
Yes.
have to nurture
It has
them.
to be
Council
win-win.
member, don't I send my text like, I'm just thinking about
Yes,
you.
I do that all the time with all of my circle of women.
So, council member, I happen to know, I can tell one of your secrets that you have a clan 500 strong of sorors
See?
around you, but you also have a beautiful inner circle of women
Yes.
and men around you. You want to talk about how you build that circle of influence around you that nurtures you, that is your sounding board?
Yeah, and I actually want to go one step further. When I say further, I want to go one step back before we go to the next level. When you're talking about, you're right, the 500 women strong, and your inner circle and things along those lines. But as we talk about families and we talk about domestic violence, and we talk about issues in the community, I don't want us to lose sight about the foundation that I was blessed enough to have strong a parental system that helped provide me support when I had issues. And so I want our viewers to know how important our families are and how we have to come together. I know we might all not be blessed to have, two parents at a time, or we may live in, single woman head of households. But we have to have that support for our children, because that's what we lean on. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that immediate family, then yes, you're lucky or blessed to be involved in organizations. I'm blessed to be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, 500 strong in my. That's right. You have that 500 strong that help and encourage you. It's about having a support system. So. When Jennifer calls me and encourages me, because we're both up at 2 a.m, that's what keeps us going, right, Jennifer?
That's exactly what it is. It's like, I didn't expect you to answer.
When my three brothers, I grew up in a family I was the only girl with 3 brothers. When my 3 brothers, come on, sis, you can do it.
Yes.
And then I go to my Alpha brothers, and they say, yeah, sis, you can do it.
Yes.
When I go to my Omega brothers, and they say, yeah, sis, you can do it.
Yes.
When I play soccer and I play tennis, and they say, oh, yeah, we can play on the tennis court, but we can also fight for an issue that's going to make our community better. That's how you build that relationship. That's how you build that community, by your passions, your people that have a same cause. My Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority sisters, my Omega brothers, my Alpha brothers, my friends that like to go to the library, my friends that like to play tennis, my friends that like to play soccer, my friends that want to make a difference in the community, my connection committee friends.
Yes, and council member, I think it's also beautiful that I remember one day someone asked me, I didn't even really know that you, just like Council Member Turner, you guys are AKAs, and you don't care. You don't care if it's a Delta. You don't care what organization, as long as somebody's doing it. And I said, absolutely, that's the mission. We don't care what organization. We're not bound in such limitations of culture and organizational ties, even faith. What we're bound by is purpose.
Amen.
That's exactly right. Yes. How many organizations are coming on Saturday? It's just not all the AKAs. It's just not all people from Prince George's County. We have people coming from all across the state. We have people coming from 100 different organizations. And why? Because they believe in the purpose.
Absolutely.
They believe in educating, empowering, and engaging women on women's issues.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I done had my mouth open for the last 45 minutes.
You guys they better get their tickets. Get your tickets.
I know you guys are going to be in the building at the Comfort Inn in Bowie this Saturday to just be a part. This is just a little sample. This a little even take. We ain't even got her standing up with all her accoutrements going. And look how excited we are getting about this whole situation. But look, we got to calm it down just a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to bring some more phenomenalness to the situation. We're going to have LaVon on, and we're going to have Miss Peggy Morris on. So we got to get to this break so that we can get back and get back into it.
Absolutely. So we have, Holly, like 2 more minutes here. Councilmember Turner, are you going to be able to hang in with us? I know you keep a busy schedule, and we appreciate the time that you've been able to give us.
Oh, I absolutely can hang on. Again, anything I can do to continue to help in the process, I'm available and ready to help.
Absolutely. So before we go to song break, is there any parting words at the bottom of the hour that you want to leave for women? 1 minute.
Me? Okay, wonderful. I just want to continue that conversation about creating an extended family.
Yes.
I think that is so critical. And unfortunately, I hear too many women, I don't want to be with women. I don't want to do this. And it's like they don't know what they're missing. One of the first books I wrote was called Sister Friends.
Yes.
And it was a message to encourage women to be intentional in creating relationships with other women where it's win-win, where you can, there's a saying, thank God we're not all down at the same time.
That's right.
Because today I may be down and I need you, and tomorrow you'll be down and I'll be there for you.
That's right.
One of my best sister friends always says, Jewel, I always want to be a safe place for you to land, because she knows I'm always flying. But it was a metaphor that when you take off your public face, you need to have a safe place where you could just be real and relax and take your shoes off. We all need a safe place to land. We need. My parents and my husband's parents died when we were very young, so our nuclear family is very small. So I intentionally created goddaughters, godmothers, sister friends, brother friends, because I don't know everything.
That's right.
And I can't be everywhere. And I'm wired to be a people person. And I realize that some people are just not wired that way.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, don't think you can't get in.
I guess the thing that I'd like to leave at the end of the hour is I guess I want to leave the part about voters. You all are voters. We all need you to be voters. And the power in the vote can make a difference. Our elected officials change businesses, change our communities. And Holly, at the beginning of the hour, you talked about 97% of the voters in Scotland are registered voters.
Yes.
We need to get our voters registered, and we need to get you to the polls, because political incumbents, political elected new people make a difference in our community. And as women, we need to be at the table.
Ooh,
That's right.
It's getting
beautiful.
good up in here.
Well, we're going to take that song break, Holly. I'm going to close my mouth. And thank you both so much, Council Member Ingrid M. Turner, amazing international speaker, author Jewel Diamond Taylor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be back right after this song break.
Hey, oh, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm taking my freedom, pulling it off the shelf, putting it on my chain, wearing it round my neck.
All right, ladies, welcome back. The table's getting full. The table's getting full. And we also have joining us on the phone, Levon Reedy Thomas. Hello, Levon.
Hi, Levon.
Hi, Levon.
She's like, I'm live. And of course, still with us, we also have Council Member Ingrid Turner. So we got a full house of some powerful women. But ladies, I want to make sure that our audience knows that they can be part of this conversation. Hit us up on Twitter at Truth360 by BDC. Like us on Facebook at Truth360 by BDC. And, of course, the old school way, go ahead and hit that email by Truth360 at blackdresscollaborative.com. Jennifer and I are here in the studio with some amazing women, and we are joined by, I gave you the best introduction because I just love you so much.
I love you back.
Peggy Morris, who wears so many hats, but one of my favorite hats that you wear is as the founder of Sister for Sister Network. I mean, the way you bring women together is outstanding.
Incredible.
So to have you as part of the WE3 conference as well as a guest here on Truth 360 is phenomenal. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. You know, it's a joy just to be here with y'all guys. I mean, I'm sitting on the sideline like, wow, look at these women.
Well,
It's just so awesome.
You are one of us. You are we, and we are you.
Absolutely.
And amongst us also, your partner in crime.
My partner in crime, none other than Levon Reedy Thomas. Levon Reedy Thomas is an amazing, I think if I had to choose a word, I'd pick humble because she is such a power broker. This amazing woman is a strategist, campaign strategist extraordinaire, a nonprofit philanthropist, community advocate, and she's just, her whole approach is humbly respecting the value of people, of the everyday people, just like the greats. And so this Prince George's leadership, this diva, Levon Reedy Thomas.
Lord,
Welcome,
all
Levon.
right, welcome.
Hey,
Levon.
Levon.
Levon, I'm actually going to start with you because we've been hearing from Jennifer for weeks.
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
And, you know, she has us convinced that this WE3 conference is going to be the best yet.
Yes.
But as the co-chair of this event, we need to hear from you what's really going down at this event.
Well, I know that Jennifer, and thank you for that overwhelming introduction, Jennifer.
You're welcome, Levon.
Well, Jennifer's right. I mean, this is an exciting day. It will be an exciting day for women of Prince George's County as well as our friends in the Washington metropolitan area who are going to come together to talk about educating, empowering, and engaging women in the issues that affect them, as I like to say, from the kitchen table to Capitol Hill.
Yes.
Advocacy is the main focus for the morning's forum, and the reason why we lean away from the legislative, naming it the legislative conference, and focus on the advocacy is because when you think about it, nothing happens without advocacy. Whether that's helping your children in school, if you don't show up in the classroom and talk to the teacher, if you don't get those resources and those tutors to help your children, then they're not going to be successful. All the way to issues such as Alzheimer's and heart disease and HIV/AIDS and all those things that women in our community embrace and need support with, and you go to Capitol Hill to testify, you're being an advocate. So, yes, it's going to be a new day. I think it's a new step for women in Prince George's County. And as I said in another interview, I want this conference to become the premier conference for women's issues because it brings together women from every aspect of our community, the faith community, nonprofit, business, public service. You know, women line up to go to these conferences to help them be better business women. They go to the church conference to help them be better spiritual women, godly women. Well, we can do all. You need all of that. But when it comes to creating policy that affects you in the home, this is where you need to be.
All right.
Start.
Woo, woo, woo.
What
We
those
gonna
are
say it all
awesome
over
words
again.
You hit
because
it on the nail.
yeah, thank you, Ingrid. I agree because when you're talking about collaboration, Levon,
Yes.
you're talking about the power of the group, as Councilmember
Yes.
Turner
Yes.
said, and you're talking about that we are one,
Yes.
as Jules said, that in you is me and I in you, that we all have our moments, but we are a collective embodiment. So
Right.
I think
well,
that's beautiful.
I gotta get
Gotta
the
bring
perspective
Peggy
of
in
Peggy
the conversation.
because, as I mentioned, she has just been groundbreaking and doing. And I want to make sure I get this part in. This is work.
It is work, trust me.
Hard work
Yes.
of bringing
Serving.
women who we
Together.
love, but they
Together.
work. Now they some
Yeah.
work. We some work, y'all. Y'all know that.
We are a piece of work.
We a piece of work. We the piece.
Yeah,
So
We
you
the power, but we the
know
peace.
more than anybody how difficult it is to bring people
Yes,
together.
yes.
So when you look at the fruits of what's happening, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Well, I think I can really honestly say it's easy.
Oh.
Easier than you believe it is, especially if you get like-minded women.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
that's the key.
Okay,
And I
okay.
have just been fortunate enough to have women that understand what I'm trying to do, what is our mission, what is our vision. And so when the like minds come together, it becomes very easy.
Right, right.
At times, there were some times there, like I'm like saying,
Yes,
these
yes.
sisters do not get it.
But you keep
Yeah,
on
but
keeping
I keep-
on.
Theme.
Yes.
It's that theme. I would tell people all the time, there is nothing like when you call Peggy or you see Peggy, you chit chat for a minute. She's like, "Love you, girl."
You too.
I mean, I grew up with a loving family, and that's what made it so easy.
Yes.
Growing with 5 sisters and 1 brother,
Yes.
and a mother and a father, and we saw the love in the household.
Right.
So for me to be able to walk out of that and to empower other women to begin to love each other,
Right.
to me that's easy.
So tell us a little bit about Sisters for Sisters Network. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us about you.
I am so honored to have Jewel sitting here.
Yeah.
Jewel is like the woman in my back pocket.
Yes.
For inspiration. She was the first woman who embraced Sharon Bullock, my cousin Audrey Dixon, and Dee Adams at the very first PAL networking conference in
first.
Cleveland.
Yes, with George Frazier.
And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And I always would remember Joel, and we would send emails back and forth. And for some strange reason, we stayed connected because of liked interests,
Yes.
like thoughts.
We're both are people.
Exactly.
Yes.
You have to stay connected.
Exactly.
That's it.
And to see this now coming full circle,
Yes.
we had her and George and Willie Jolly at our gala last year, and to honor her and then have her come back for the Women's History Month luncheon, and now have her for the WE3. We some bad sisters.
With some bad sisters. And Levon,
Right.
why don't you share a little bit about the great work that we do through the Women's History Month luncheon and how we evolve and now doing this great work in the women's WE3 movement?
Does that mean Jennifer?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. What's for you, Levon? Yes, to talk about Jewel Diamond Taylor being with us for the Women's History Month luncheon, now in WE3, and how we bring all of this women's movement and our energy together.
Woo, you want me to talk about Jewel Diamond Taylor?
And before you say anything, can I tell you I love you and I'm so grateful. You boy.
I'm sitting in the car. I might have to get out and run around the parking lot.
I'm already doing it.
Me too. I'm holding it in.
Jewel, hi, Jewel.
Hi, honey.
Jewel came, and everybody was excited about Jewel, and I said, she better be all that they're saying that she is. He called me on the phone, and we talked, and we emailed, and I was like, oh, okay, I like this sister. I'm feeling her. And then her presence, and we weren't even finished. We weren't even out of the ballroom, and everybody started talking about the conference, saying, we need to bring Jewel back. And I was like, yeah, we do. So awesome. The Women's History Month luncheon is the recognition of women who work in Prince George's County government, and we're approaching our 30th anniversary this coming March 19th, save the date, and embrace We've kind of, in the Baker administration, I can't speak about how things went in prior administrations, but what I've tried to do is really connect government, the private sector, to make this event a huge success, to celebrate those women who are supported. The government is supported by the private sector.
Yes.
Can't do the work that we do to serve our community without the nonprofits, without the businesses, without our educators. So it's really a celebration for everybody, but really in honor of the women who serve in government. So this WE3 conference is kind of now an opportunity to piggyback off of that and to bring together those same people who are supportive of the government and say, let's talk about how what you're doing is serving the people of Prince George's County and the region. So it's really, we start with March and now we're in the fall and we're going to do some things in between. So it's really
it just keeps going on and on and on. I love it. I love it.
And all of that.
I love it. Well, listen. I'm going to interview the 5 of you real quick. Because Jennifer's so busy trying to be the host. She's not really giving me what I really need from her. So I'm about to put her over in the guest seat.
Good.
Here's where we need to go. Because this is something that we haven't talked about yet. And that is, I want to hear from each of you. How important is it to have young people as a part of this? And I'm going to start with Jennifer.
Okay,
and if
absolutely.
you could just frame the role for younger women here. And then I want to get that from each of the other guests to talk about the role of younger women.
Well, I always like 3 words for everything. And if I had to give 3 words to younger women, it would be legacy, it would be example, and it would be support.
Yes.
And so in the We3 movement, what we've tried to do is bring all of the women's organizations and women doing amazing things, a diverse cross-section of women together. And now we've been able each year to pull a few more and a few more younger women to give them the platforms that we all have to express their natural talents, to develop their talents and skills in the direction that they want, and most of all, to show them the relationship between their everyday lives and political engagement, political leadership, leadership across the board, as well as how to connect with some of our organizations. We have organizations like NCNW, Coalition of 100 Black Women, that are not seeing large numbers of women being recruited. The young women have thoughts, ideas, passion, creativity, and they don't have a platform to express it. So we're trying to create a bridge to take all that talent and that energy and give them wings and wind beneath their wings.
It's getting ready to come. Well, LaVon, from your side as the co-chair of this event, how do you see younger women playing in?
I see the younger women bringing that edge to the conference. I'm a mother of a 21-year-old, and technology is everything in their world. And I'm okay with it, but it's not my thing. I do it to manage myself, to just kind of keep a job. But we need to.
Nobody really believes that, but okay.
We need to stay on top of what's happening. We live in a global society, and our children are global thinkers. And I have to admit, I think the government's a little slow on the uptake with this. And so in order for us to cultivate future employees in public service, we have to engage these young people at every turn. In Prince George's County government, we have an aging workforce. And there's some numbers out there that I'm not prepared to quote, but we really are working hard to begin to cultivate future employees through our Youth at Work program, which is a summer initiative. So to bring the young women into the WE3 conference is really just one more opportunity for us to say young people are important to the future of this county, this state, and this country. And so I applaud the young women who have been with us and who will be joining us, because we need everybody's voice at the table, because this is really all for them.
Absolutely. Well, Peggy, from a networking standpoint, how do we bring those young women into the table? How are you getting them engaged?
You know, I'm really blessed that part of the organization, a lot of people think of networking, that's all we do.
Yes.
But we actually, one of the requirements is that you must serve. You must be able to give back to the organization.
We keep hearing it.
And so what we have, we have a mentoring program for girls, and I'm thankful that Renee Allen, who's not here, is the key person who oversees that for us.
Yes.
And just like was mentioned earlier when Ingrid Turner, Councilwoman Ingrid Turner mentioned, we got to start looking at women that's going to be able to run the county.
Yes.
Okay? And we're providing the platform for these young girls to be part of what we do so they can see what we do and emulate.
And learn from us.
And learn from us.
And yes.
Okay.
Well, I know, since you brought up Councilwoman Turner, that she actually is a chairperson for the annual Youth Empowerment Summit. So how does that play into bringing youth to get them engaged in what's happening in the county, but really just engaged in their own lives?
Yeah, exactly.
Councilwoman Turner?
Yeah. Thank you for talking about the Youth Empowerment Summit. I'm so happy to do anything with our youth because actually I think that many of you know that's probably the reason why I do many of these things is because of our youth. I have a passion for youth, and as Jennifer, as LaVon, as Peggy just mentioned, we have to be prepared for tomorrow, and our youth are the ones that we want at the table. But tomorrow we don't want just one person at the table. When I say one female at the table, we want to make sure there's 3 at the table or there's 4 at the table.
Right.
And this is what this is all about.
Yes.
For me, it's about our youth for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And can I make a comment about Ingrid? I remember when it was last year when you had the conference for the young kids, and I was so impressed of the quality of young kids that were there that wanted to learn, wanted to be part of what was happening in the county. So we have to give kudos to you because you really have stepped up to the plate to make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, you know,
but again, Peggy, and everybody around the table, I didn't do it alone. It was because we all came together, and then we all saw the need. And I thank you, Sisters for Sisters Network, for being a partner in that program also.
Oh,
Thank
I feel the love. I feel the love. All right, come on, Jewel. You got to tell us
Y'all
about
gonna make
these
me
young
move back
women.
into these. Yeah, you gonna make me move back to the East
Come
Coast.
on with the family
You
now.
guys are doing it. There is such a.
And we're going to have that Youth Empowerment Summit again this year, April 25th.
All right,
Saturday at
dates
Camelot.
down.
So please bring the youth out, April 25th at Camelot.
Well, we might have to do a whole show
we
with
gonna
you,
have to
so
do a
don't
whole
worry
show
about
on
the
the
promo
youth.
right
Yeah,
now.
we
We're
start
going to get you
promoting
covered. We
in
got you.
in February.
Take us home, Joe.
right,
What's going
all right.
on? How we get these young women engaged with this? What do we need to tell them?
Well, I think we just have to show them, not necessarily tell them.
Yes.
Love
Because
it.
I think about, I am who I am, and I'm able to go from the penthouse to street level to speak at Pentagon to, the homeless.
Yes.
Because at a young age, I was
Yes.
exposed to many
Yes.
women organizations.
Yes.
My mother and my aunt took me to so many events. I'm like, what am I doing here? And why am I here? But they taught me so much about etiquette. They
Yes.
taught me
Yeah.
about how to dress, how to talk, just simple, basic things. They exposed me. And I think
Yes.
because they exposed me, I never feel uncomfortable with anywhere. And I think that we owe it to them to expose them to leaders,
Yes.
to expose them to wives, to expose them, to the underbelly of life, to
Yes.
expose them to
Yes.
the wonderful,
Exactly.
glorious opportunities
Yes,
that are there.
yes, yes.
And then it'll just begin to unfold. But if we just leave them out the picture, we're doing such a great disservice.
Yes.
And, now that I'm a seasoned woman, I'm beginning to see the polarity of life, that when you're very young or when you become seasoned, you're retiring or you feel like you don't have a purpose, those two demographics, if you don't keep them busy, if you don't give them a purpose,
Yes, yes.
women that are mature women that have
Yes.
entering a second or a third season that are retired or wondering what should I do with my life, maybe they're widows or they're ready to change lanes, or you're dealing with young people that have nothing to do. Those two demographics need a purpose. They need to be used. They
Yes.
need to be engaged. And when you
Yes.
don't engage older people
Yes.
or young people,
You
they
lose it.
rot, they rust,
Yes.
they become rebellious.
Yes.
And so we owe it to these young people to engage them, even though they may resist.
Yes.
But there's a
Keep
part of
them
them that
in
will
there.
say, you know what?
Yes.
There's something appealing about this, and
Yes.
one day I want to be like her. I want to be like him. So we're very
I
visual
got that
people.
goosebump.
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you, we're about to expose you to something really special after this next song break. We're going to give you that Jewel Diamond Taylor experience,
All right.
unfiltered,
Unfiltered.
and give her a moment to just pour into us a little bit.
Absolutely.
So please don't miss us when we come back from this next song break.
You gotta shake it.
Take a tambourine, go and get yourself a whistle. Okay. Take a tambourine, go and get yourself a whistle.
Okay.
Take a tambourine, go and get yourself a whistle. Take a tambourine, go and take a tambourine, go
I go by the name of Swiss Beast the Monster. We gonna get this party started. Full service. Let's go.
EVE come through in the minds of pride. Throwing it big like I live in the Taj Mahal. And I don't get in the blah. That's why they loving her. That's real, been the chick that they talk about. Damn is the words that come out their mouth. She look good, always without a doubt. Ask for it, get you back and cake and now. Come on. They be watching while we wiggle around. Look at them drooling. They ain't used to the sound. I keep them moving. All my ladies, put your hands in the air. It's all right now. We gon' keep you up on your feet the whole night now. Pop them bottles, yeah, drink that up, man. Got you feeling crazy? Well, that was the plan. They was waiting for me, wasn't ready for this. He got the game sold up. No, I'm talking about Swiss. So yeah, I know you wanna fight it, but why would you try? We got them shaking everything from the hood to Dubai. Yeah, we do it big, man. Why would we lie? Come on.
1, 2, 3, everybody.
Pick up, get your hands in the air. It's a stick up. Shake your tambourines, move it quicker. Yeah, I'm shaking down the town. Get the picture. Moving on the floor, gotta love that. How she keep it going on, gotta love that. To the beat like a pro, know you love that. She can shake it to the flow, gotta love that. Get your ass on the dance floor, dance on the dance floor. Move them out the way if they ain't doing it how you want yours. You ain't got to ask, keep giving more. Don't need my permission, y'all heard what you waiting for.
Oh, hello world. This is so exciting. This is Jewel Diamond Taylor. So honored to be guest here today with Holly and Jennifer. Just want to give you a word of encouragement right now. There's so many things I could share, so much I want to unveil and impart to everyone. But I believe there's someone listening today right now that may feel a little stuck, may feel overwhelmed, may even feel that there's no place for you to come to the WE3 conference in Bowie, Maryland this Saturday, September the 20th. But there is a seat for you. There is an opportunity for you. There is a blessing waiting for you. And I believe that when we put our seeds in fertile ground, when we make ourselves available, great things begin to happen. And sometimes we don't come to events like this because of one thing, and that's shame. That may sound a little strange, but a lot of times you and I may feel unworthy. We're not ready. I don't have something to wear. I don't have someone to go with me. But I want to encourage you today to make time for yourself, to make that personal investment in your future. I can't tell you how many times I availed myself to opportunities that took me out of my comfort zone. But because I was in the midst of greatness, because I was someplace where I was being nurtured, where I was being exposed to women doing great things, I began to grow. And I promise you, if you take time to be with us this Saturday in Bowie, Maryland at the Comfort Inn for the WE3 conference, you are going to be exponentially growing. You are going to be exposed to so much. You're going to be sitting next to someone. You're going to hear someone. You're going to be in the elevator with someone. You're going to have lunch with someone that's going to spark you, someone that's going to reignite in you your purpose. I have found in my studies of over 30 years working with women that there are usually about 4 or 5 critical points that keep us from growing. Let me share with you what those 4 points are. The first one is learning coping skills, learning how to cope with balancing family and work, learning how to cope with the haters, learning how to cope with bad weather, learning how to cope with menopause, learning how to cope with marriage and relationship issues, learning how to cope with a backache or a headache, learning how just to cope with life, because life is always changing and life is not predictable. And if you're not emotionally intelligent, you could become easily stressed and get off track from the things that will allow you to go and grow to the next level. The second thing, it's so important to get out of your comfort zone. I talked about that earlier. You know, it's time for you to grow. And I've heard other people say that if you're the smartest person in the group, it's time to get in another group. It's time to get out of your comfort zone. It's time to get out of that rut. It's time to get out of what's familiar. Don't allow procrastination or fear to keep you stunted. It's time to grow. It's time to go. And I don't want anything or anyone to stop you from availing yourself to this awesome experience that has been planned. Every I has been dotted, every T has been crossed. It is going to be phenomenal. You're going to learn how to cope with skills. You're going to learn how to get out of your comfort zone. The third thing that I have found that's so critical to our growth is making connections. I am in this room today with women that I've connected over the years, maintain and sustain those connections, and therefore doors have opened up. We have created win-win relationships. You cannot make it in this world by yourself. And we need that diversity. You need to be around people that are different than you and people that share your same values. But I believe this is very critical, a very critical cornerstone to your success is making those connections and the sustaining those connections. We have no reason, no excuse not to be connected with people through texting, phone calls, Facebook, Twitter. There is absolutely no reason why you cannot get connected to powerhouses, connected to people that see you, that actually get you, that want to add something to your life. But in connections, in networking, it's not about just receiving, it's also about giving. The other C that I want to talk about is confidence. Learning how to build up your confidence. You know, people look at someone like myself and say, oh, she's confident all the time. She's got it all together. No, I don't. I have to constantly work on that. I have to constantly nurture that confidence muscle. And I want you to learn how to do the same thing too. And when you're in the midst of other women that are electrified, they're on fire, they're doing great things, they're asking questions, they're taking notes, they're serving, they're speaking, they're enjoying life, it's going to help you to boost up your confidence. I promise you, you're going to see someone that you're going to say, I want to be like her. I want to do what she's doing. And you'll be able to do it because you've made those connections, you've got out of your comfort zone, and you're learning how to cope with life. Life is interesting. Life is always happening, and life is unpredictable. In fact, it's why I named one of my books, Shift. SHIFT, shift happens. Change is always going to happen. We can't stop change from happening, but we can learn how to respond to change by getting healthy, emotional coping skills. Don't let whatever is bothering you this week to get in the way of you being a part of an awesome experience this Saturday, September 20th. Don't let those things that are irritating you get in the way. You know, in fact, just the other day, something kind of got me off and kind of got me a little irritated, and I had to say to myself, Jewel, is this an inconvenience or is this a crisis? Now, if you're dealing with a crisis, I can certainly understand that. But don't let inconveniences get in the way of you being a part of this awesome experience this Saturday, September the 20th, at the Comfort Inn in Bowie, Maryland. There is a seat for you. There is a blessing in the house for you. If you will simply avail yourself, connect, and get out of your comfort zone. Whether you want to start a business, start your ministry, go into politics, learn more about your community, whether you just want to let iron sharpen iron, if you want to be a part of another networking organization, if you want to write a book, there's going to be so many resources there, so many women from many diverse walks of life that will be there to empower you, to lift you up, and to help you find your voice. We don't want you to be invisible. We want you to be visible, to know your value, and to find your voice. This is Jewel Diamond Taylor, and I invite you to visit my website, donotgiveup.net. I am a conference speaker, an ordained minister, a life coach, a wife, a mother, an author, and I am so excited to be on the East Coast where it all started for me here in Washington, D.C., at this beautiful radio station, to be a part of the WE3 conference Saturday, September the 20th. I want to thank our hosts, Holly and Jennifer. They'll be right back with you after this music. Stay tuned.
Bass drop. Out, 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 out. You got $100 bill, get your hands up. You got a $50 bill, get your hands up. You got a $20 bill, get your hands up. You got a $10 bill, get your hands up. Single ladies, I can't hear y'all. Single ladies, make noise. Single ladies, I can't hear y'all. Single ladies, make noise. All the chicken heads, be quiet. All the chicken heads, be quiet. All the chicken heads, be quiet. Yeah, baby, fat man, scoop, face, let me sing along. Come on. All the good-looking women sing along. I can't hear y'all. What's your zodiac sign? What's your zodiac sign? I can't hear y'all. What's your zodiac sign? Yeah, out, out. If you got long hair, get your hands up. If you got short hair, make noise. If you got long hair, get your hands up. If you got short hair, make noise. If you got long hair on your head, ladies. If you got long hair on your head, if you got long hair on your head, from your ear to your sleeve, even if you got a weave. Can I get up? Can I get up? Can I get up? Out, out. Can I get up? Can I get up? Can I get up? Out, out. To all my niggas that ain't hit it from the back, who wanna have sex with no strings attached. Yo, can I get up? Can I get up? Can I get up? Out, out. Can I get up? Can I get up? Can I get up? Out, out.
Engine number 9 on the New York Transit line. If my train goes off the track, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Let's go. Who fucking tonight? Who fucking tonight? Who fucking tonight? Out, out. Who fucking tonight? Who fucking tonight? Who fucking tonight? Out, out. Stop playing, keep it moving. Stop playing, keep it moving. Stop playing, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Yeah, sing along. Hey, oh, yeah, hey, oh, sing along there. Hey, oh, hey, oh, ladies, fellas, ladies, fellas. Brooklyn Clan.
It's been a party going on. Woo! Y'all missed the dancing segment, but we had it going on. Listen,
Having a
I got
fabulous
just.
time.
I'm gonna let you have the last words today, Jennifer. But I got
You go right ahead. Go right ahead.
quick
Make your announcement.
points.
At the break time.
Yes, we were getting it in. We were getting it in.
Yes,
Woo,
yes,
Lord
yes.
knows I
You're
needed to
getting
do
fit.
it. Listen.
Yeah. Hands up, yeah.
Woo, this has been so phenomenal. We have. It's just been all just encompassing.
I know.
It's just been all encompassing. Woo! Been having a good time. Listen, 4 quick points. First of all, we got to move out of this survival mode and into this thrive mode.
Yes.
Second, I have to pull out. Thank you so much for that, and Councilmember Turner, this one's from you. We're all different, but we're all the same, and we really have to connect to that sameness while celebrating those differences.
Yes.
And then this is just for me. It ain't easy, y'all.
It ain't
But
easy.
look, it's necessary.
Yes.
So we got to put in the work to make sure that we get it done. And then, you were saying this, and it just kept coming back to me. This is our life. But we've got to be active members, participants of it.
Yes.
We've got to act like it is ours and take the bull by the horns and
get
get
off
it in.
the couch. Get off the couch.
Get it
That
in.
TV.
Yes.
Get out the mall. I'm there sometimes, but
Yeah, we know.
but there's work to do in your community.
There's so much work to do. Jen, take us home. Tell us what we're doing.
Oh, my gosh. Holly, this entire realization of this vision, women educated, women empowered, and women engaged, is truly about what we've talked about on this show today. It's not that I did this by myself. It's that women gave me a platform.
Yes,
and
yes.
said, work it.
Yes.
And God gave me a whole lot of vision.
Woo.
And so the way that Councilmember Turner said there's so much work to be done.
There's
the
so
way that
much
Jill
work.
Diamond Taylor has said, get involved, get in it, do the work.
Yes.
Find your passion. The way that Peggy said we've got to have a connection. Sisters for sisters having a connection. Holly, the way that LaVon said it's about collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Just what you and I are doing here. And we brought Toy
Every
on,
week.
who's an armor bearer and a right hand and executive assistant and running the Jewel Diamond Taylor Enterprise.
Phenomenal woman over here.
Teamwork
makes the dream work.
Right.
That's right.
Shout out to George Frazier. And so what I want my closing remarks to be is that I promise you, if you make your way to the WE3 conference, if you can't make it this year, put a pin in it and make sure you don't miss next year, because the Women Educated, Women Empowered, Women Engaged, Women's Empowerment Conference is a conference that serves to pour into you. It gives you a platform to pour out of yourself and to really connect with women who are just amazing. You're going to grow. You're going to be challenged. You're going to learn. You're going to feel. You're going to walk away renewed and empowered.
Yes.
We brought you the
Yes.
best of the best subject matter experts.
Yes.
Younger women speaking. We even have some men in the house. We
Whoop, whoop for the men. Hey.
Oh, now they're coming.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know if the women is there, the men is there.
And as you always say, Holly, it couldn't be done without the money. We couldn't do it without our sponsors.
Yes.
Shout out to Councilwoman Ingrid Turner.
Yes.
To Wagmans for being premier sponsors. To Councilmember Derry Davis. To our county executive, Rishern L. Baker III. This is a collaboration. To Prince George's Community College. To all of the health and human services agencies. The Department of Family Services, Social Services, the Health Department. I mean, all of the women of the county council. But then I'll say to Chair Mel Franklin and the entire Prince George's County Council. This is a collaborative of Prince George's County saying we celebrate and we champion women, not just because 54% of us vote and our vote counts not only for the county, but you can't win a statewide election without going through Prince George's County. So
Amen.
women have some power, Joy. And I hope that this conference teaches us about our personal power, about our circle of influence, influence power, about our community power, but most of all about our collective power. You can say no to one, but it's hard to say no to 500. It's harder to say no to 5,000.
Yes.
And it is impossible to say no to 5 million.
All right.
I
Woo.
just champion women educated, women empowered, women in.
I'm just soaking it all in. That's what I'm doing. And let me just say, because I got to just do a big thank you. We still have LaVon Reedy Thomas on the phone with us, as well as Council Women Ingrid Turner, who's the diamond sponsor of this great event. And I can't thank you enough, Jennifer and LaVon, for being the co-chairs of this event, bringing us all together to have this moment, which is just the prep moment for the moment to come. I'm so glad we got Toy on there, I have to tell you, because she was over there just giving us so much energy, and I was like, if we don't get her on camera, I don't know what's going to go down. And
can I say a special thank you to Jennifer, too, and to LaVon? Because I'm telling you, over 30 years, I've spoken so many places.
Yes.
Had so many hosts. Had so many people say, I love you, we're bringing you back. But this sister kept her word.
Yes.
You and LaVon kept saying, Jewel, we're bringing you back. Yes. And, you know, I acknowledge and appreciate your integrity, your follow-through, and every fight that you had to go through to make it happen.
But it's a connection. Can I just pull Peggy into this?
I was just getting ready to say, let the love fest continue.
Network connection made this happen, Jewel. And Holly's giving us thanks, but look at my girlfriend put it down every Thursday. But it is because Sisters for Sister Network stepped up and just opened up one more with the Prince George's County Commission for Women. Let me not forget to acknowledge the 14 amazing women from all walks of life that I served with. They are from education, human trafficking.
There's my bell.
and the Commission for Women and everything that we do in domestic violence and human trafficking, our health initiatives, our education initiatives, every program that we run is an embodiment and a manifestation of the passions, even our legislative advocacy and political. It's a passion that each one of those women sat in a room when I became chair and said, this is what I want to address. From mental health to incarceration. It's the embodiment of the power of women.
We are the secret weapon.
We are. That's the answer. We are the secret weapon. Yes. I love it. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Joy. And that's right. Joy. We have, and because I'm a vision caster, and I believe that when you speak things into the universe, they come true. And Joy, Toy, and Jewel, and I, with Sisters for Sisters Network, with holiday advertisers, and our entire Prince George's County family, have talked about doing some kind of women's retreat that we can get together and get on some buses and drive just across the pond somewhere else.
Somebody bring a masseuse.
I'm just saying.
And some wine. I'm just saying.
I'm just putting
Putting
some
it out.
stuff
We can all
out there.
exhale.
Yes.
And take off our superwoman cape.
Yes.
I'm calling it. LaVon, you put that pin mark down. The county council member, we will make sure that this is an initiative that we carry into 2015 to make sure that we pull ourselves together with the Black Women's Roundtable and all of us collectively, all of my Maryland Now, AAUW, Business and Professional Women.
All the people. All the acronyms, all the groups, all the women, all the people. Come on, everybody.
Everybody in. All of my Latino sisters and my Korean and Asian sisters that we've got to come together.
Miss Pac.
And Miss Mima, we gotta really do this. So to my sister friends all over, and to Joy in LA, that's your project, boo.
What we do is we bring you on and we give you a whole lot more work to do.
That's
really how it goes
down. Can we just have a conference?
And just we already planning the next thing.
One more shout out on Sunday. On Sunday, we are going to worship at First Baptist Church of Glen Arden with Reverend John K. Jenkins, Reverend Dr. John K. Jenkins, Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church of Glen Arden, and his amazing wife, who's a woman-leading diva herself, First Lady Trina Jenkins. They'll be having their women's conference on October 11th at First Baptist Church, where we're going to fellowship at the 12 o'clock service on Sunday and enjoy ourselves.
That is awesome. You know, LaVon gave me my word to close out, and that is, she said, from the kitchen table to Capitol Hill. Yes. And the skills that we're going to learn at the WE3 conference on Saturday, you can put immediately to work because Black Caucus is right the next week. So I would not be who I was if I didn't raise up some very important activities that are happening during the Congressional Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference, which starts on Wednesday of this week, the 24th. The two that I want to lift up quickly are the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation and the Black Women's Roundtable Public Policy Forum that will be happening on Wednesday. This is not your normal panel discussion. This is where Black women get in, get engaged, get involved, and get tools that they can take back to their community. It will be at the Washington Convention Center, room 146C, from 2 to 5. And the second, another one close to my heart, is being hosted by Nobel. It's the Black Elected Officials Roundtable. If you're elected to anything, from dog catcher to Congress, you are African American, you need to be in on this discussion to support and help each other.
Absolutely.
It's again happening on Friday, September 26th from 9 to 12 p.m. at the Washington Convention Center, back in room 146. So just go to room 146 every day and you'll be all right. And finally, one of the things that we're honoring on Tuesday, October 18th, from 6 to 9 at the Sphinx Club, we will honor somebody who's just been a powerhouse. It's the former executive director and president, CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus, who's now the founding director of the Ron Walters Political Leadership Institute right across the street at Howard University, Dr. Elsie Scott, and one of Washington's own, Raheem Devine, will be honored at the Spirit Award for their work and service to the community here locally, but frankly, just to the world. So I want everyone to get in on that. Oh my God, we're done.
We are done, Holly.
We are done.
The show goes by so well, but I was here, Holly, texting because I got a call that we might have some beautiful people able to be on the show with us next Thursday during Congressional Black Caucus Week.
Oh,
so
that would be awesome.
Pretty excited about that.
Yes.
And so we're going to make some things
Well,
happen.
you know, next week we're going to be talking about money, y'all. Y'all know that's one of my favorite things. We're going to be dealing with crowdfunding, how to get your business and or nonprofit started up with your crowd of people around you. But until then, follow us on Twitter at Truth360 by BDC. Like us on Facebook at Truth360 by BDC. And always look for an opportunity to connect with us by texting Truth360 to 4061. Y'all, that is it for us. It has been a wrap. And I want y'all to clap and give me some energy. Coming up next, we got Extreme Team Radio. And we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Truth 360.
Yeah.
Excellent.